Good afternoon, students. This is the lecture for banking, insurance, and financial services. As we discussed in our last lecture, in the last lecture, you might face the problem of audio. Don't worry, the new video will be placed for it. In the last lecture, we discussed about the objective, that why this subject is important for you as a student to learn. We discussed about the syllabus of this subject. As we discussed in our last lecture, there are 4 units which is bifurcated into many subtopics, and the weightage of each of the unit is 25% and the total is 100%. The unit number 1 is Introduction to Banking, second unit is E-Banking, third one is Insurance Services, fourth unit is Mutual Fund and Other Services. Okay, now just focus here. Your syllabus is bifurcated according to the name of the subject. The name of your subject is Banking, Insurance and Financial Services. So you can see here unit number 1 and unit number 2 is related to the banking portion. Unit number 3 is related with the insurance portion. And unit number 4 is related with the other financial services. This is the brief introduction of your syllabus. We already discussed this point in the last lecture. In the last lecture, we discussed some of the basic terminologies related to the subject. We discussed that what do you mean by banking? We discussed the definition according to the Banking Regulation Act. Then we discussed in the last lecture, what do you mean by insurance? We discussed 2 definitions of the insurance. The first definition is according to the function. It specifies the function of an insurance. And the second is the contractual definition. It focuses on the aspect of contract, that insurance is a contract. Then we discussed what is premium. The amount you paid monthly, yearly, quarterly, half yearly for your policy is called the premium. Then we discussed about the meaning of insurance contract. We discussed in detail nature of insurance. As I already said, nature, characteristics, features, elements all are same. These all are the general characteristics of insurance. Any types of insurance policy you are going to take, these principles are applicable to them. Whether you are going for home insurance, car insurance, fire insurance, marine insurance, life insurance, any type of policy you are going to take, these insurance principles are general principles or general characteristics. These are applicable to all. Then we discussed about the principles of insurance. These principles of insurance is not the part of your syllabus, but these principles are the part of the some of the topics that we are going to discuss. We are going to use these words in our discussion. So if you are familiar with these words, then only you are able to understand the sentence, you are able to understand the topic. If you're not familiar with the meaning of these words, or you can say these principles, so you are not able to understand the topic. What I want to say, you are not able to understand. So just try to make yourself clear with these 7 principles. Basically, starting 5 are the main principles and last 2 are the subsidiary principles of banking. Just fast revision about the principles. The first one is the principle of utmost good faith. This principle says 2 parties, insurance companies and customer, these 2 parties has to reveal all the information related to the insurance to each other. If any information hid by any of the party intentionally, then it is the breach of the principle of utmost good faith. Example, suppose a person wants to take the life insurance policy and the person is suffering from some diabetes or any type of disease and the person intentionally hid that information. So the insurance company is not bound to pay the amount of compensation in case of loss. Why? Because it is the breach of principle of utmost good faith. The second is the principle of insurable interest. Insurable interest says that you can take a policy only and only when your loss should be in terms of money, of happening of any event. If your loss is not in terms of money, so you cannot take the insurance for that particular risk. Suppose I want to take the fire insurance of my godown. If fire in burn my godown or so I am going to affect financially. So I can take the fire insurance for my godown, but I cannot take the fire insurance for my neighbor, for the godown of my neighbor. Why? Because if the fire burn in the godown of my neighbor, I am not going to affect financially. Yes, here second example of the life insurance. I can take the life insurance of myself, of my family members, but I cannot take the life insurance of my friend. Why? Because in case of death of any friend, of course there is a loss, but this loss is not in terms of money. If loss is not in terms of money, so you cannot take the insurance. Your interest should be in terms of money that you can insure. That is known as the principle of insurable interest. The next is principle of indemnity. Indemnity principle says that you are going to get the amount of compensation according to your loss only. Suppose the amount of your policy is rupees 7 lakh and the loss is just the 2 lakh rupees. So in case of loss, you are going to get just the 2 lakh rupees, not the amount of policy is 7 lakh. So this principle says that you cannot make profit out of your policy. The policy is just to cover your loss. The next is the principle of contribution. The principle of contribution says if any person is having more than one insurance policy for the same subject matter is risk for which the person wants the insurance. If any person is having more than one insurance policy for the same subject matter, then in case of loss, all the insurance company is going to contribute in our loss. This principle is followed by the principle of indemnity. Suppose a person has taken a fire insurance policy for the go down from the two insurance company. From the first insurance company, he has taken the insurance of 1 lakh rupees, and from the second insurance company, for the same go down, he has taken the policy of rupees 2 lakh. And suppose the fire burn in the go down and the loss is 50,000 rupees. So person cannot claim the 50,000 from first insurance company also and from the second insurance company also. If this is so the person is able to get the amount of 1 lakh rupees and the loss is just the 50,000, then what about the other 50,000? That will be profit. And the principle of indemnity says that you cannot make the profit out of your policy. So the principle of contribution says that if you are having more than one insurance policy, so the insurance companies is going to contribute in your loss according to the amount of policy. Means first amount policy amount is 1 lakh rupees, second policy amount is 2 lakh rupees. So both the companies are going to contribute in the ratio of 1:2. So the person is able to get the amount of 50,000 only, not the 1 lakh rupees. So according to the laws, you are going to get the compensation. Whether you are having one policy for the subject matter or more than one policy for the subject matter, the compensation remains the same. The next is the principle of subrogation. Principle of subrogation is all about the transfer of ownership on scrap. This is to step into the shoes of some other person, means to take the place of some other person. How it is so? Okay, just discuss this point with an example. Suppose the person is having the same example of the fire insurance. The person is having the policy of fire insurance for the godown. Fire burned in the godown, all the materials burned due to fire. Some of the scrap is there which remains in godown. So suppose the loss is 5 lakh rupees, the person get the compensation of 5 lakh rupees. Now on the scrap of that material which is in the godown, the ownership right transfer to the insurance company. The person who is the customer of the insurance company cannot sell that scrap in the market. The ownership right on the scrap of that material is transferred to the insurance company. Now, insurance company is having the right to sell the scrap in the market. If the person is having the right to sell the scrap in the market, so again the same principle of indemnity says you cannot make profit. The person already get the amount of compensation from the insurance company, and again he is selling the scrap in the market, means the person is making the profit. Yes, so you cannot sell the scrap in the market. The ownership right is transferred to the insurance company. The next is the principle of loss minimization. This principle says that in case of loss, you have to try to minimize the loss. We are going to take the same example of the fire insurance in all the principles so you can understand in a better way. Suppose the person is having the fire insurance policy, the fire burned in the godown. So the person is standing happily that I am having the fire insurance policy. No need to worry, just let the material burned in the godown. I will claim to the insurance company and I will get the amount. The person cannot do that. If the person is not trying to minimize the loss due to the fire, then person is breaking the principle of loss minimization. It is the duty of the customer to call the fire brigade, to try to minimize the loss, to do the remedial action. If person is not doing these all things, then person is not able to get the compensation from the insurance company. First of all, insurance company will ask you, what did you do at the time of loss? आपने सबसे पहले क्या किया वो इंश्योरेंस कंपनी आपसे पूछेगी. The next is the principle of causa proxima. The principle of causa proxima says that the insurance company will find the real cause of loss after the loss. The loss may be occur because of more than one reason. Suppose the same fire example, the fire may be burned in the godown naturally. The fire may be burned in the godown due to the carelessness of the owner. The fire may be burned in the godown intentionally by the owner. Yes, there are more than one reason of the fire burn in the godown. So, first of all, insurance company will do the investigation and will find the real cause of that fire. If that cause is genuine one and will cover under the policy of insurance, then only the insurance company is going to pay you the compensation. Suppose the owner of the godown intentionally burned the fire in the godown to get the amount of compensation, as there is a no demand for the goods in the market. So in that case, insurance company is not going to pay you anything. Why? Because that reason is not covered under the insurance policy. So this is all about the principle of insurance. Again, I am repeating the same. This is not the part of our syllabus, but it is important to understand these all words, as we are going to use these all words somewhere in our chapter. Okay, now let us start with the types of insurance. As I already discussed at the time of introduction of syllabus, the insurance is bifurcated into the two categories. The first one is the life insurance, the second one is the general insurance. Okay, what do you mean by life insurance? Very simply, in simple words, we can say that the life insurance is the insurance of life of a person. Of course, yes. Okay, now what do you mean by general insurance? All the insurance except except the life insurance is called the general insurance. Again, I am repeating, all the insurance except the life insurance is called the general insurance. Means whether it is car insurance, whether it is marine insurance or fire insurance, any insurance, whether it is all about the insurance of any property, it is about the insurance of building, insurance of land, anything. All the insurance are covered under the general insurance except the life insurance. Okay, now let us discuss in detail the life insurance, as this is the part of our syllabus, an important one. The definition of life insurance is, the life insurance is a contract where the insurance company undertakes, in consideration of regular payment of premium, to pay a certain sum of money to assured on maturity of policy or death, whichever is earlier. Okay, now let us break the definition into the subparts so you are able to understand in a better way. The first one, a contract. Insurance is a contract, as we already discussed in the characteristics of insurance, that it is a contract. So all the insurance is a contract between the insurance company and customer. A contract where an insurance company undertakes. What it undertakes? Undertakes to indemnify. Indemnify means compensation against loss. Means here insurance company give the promise to pay the compensation in case of loss, in consideration of regular payment of premium. When the insurance company is going to give this type of protection, when you are going to pay the consideration. And what is this consideration? This consideration is to be paid in form of premium with the condition of regularity of payment. If you are going to pay your premium regularly, then only the insurance company will pay you the amount of compensation in case of loss. Okay, now the question arises, how much amount will be paid by the insurance company to the customer at the time of loss? Here the word used in the definition, a certain sum of money. What do you mean by a certain sum of money? Means the amount of your policy. That amount is predetermined at the time of taking the policy. Suppose example, your policy amount is 10 lakh rupees and your loss is 5 lakh rupees. In that case, the insurance company is going to pay you 5 lakh rupees only, not the amount of 10 lakh rupees. Why? Because the principle of indemnity says that you cannot make profit. Okay, means if loss amount is less than the amount of policy, then insurance company will pay you the amount of loss. But suppose if the loss amount is more than the amount of policy, then what? Suppose your policy amount is 10 lakh rupees and your loss amount is 12 lakh rupees. In that case, the insurance company will give you only 10 lakh rupees. That is a certain sum of money, that is the amount of policy which is already decided by you and insurance company at the time of taking the policy. This is the maximum limit of compensation that the insurance company can provide to the customer. Okay. Now focus on the definition. Premium to pay a certain sum of money to the assured. Here assured means the customer. Now listen here, for the general insurance. I'm talking about general insurance. For the general insurance, customer called insured. Okay, I is there. But for the life insurance, it is called assured. When the assured word is used in any definition, so you can identify that that definition is about the life insurance, or that word or that topic is about the life insurance. Okay, now again, focus on definition. A certain sum of money to the assured. Assured means customer. Okay, when the company is going to pay you the amount of compensation on maturity of policy or death, whichever is earlier. Now this is all about the life insurance. Life is not a product. Okay, okay. The life is not a product that in case of loss or in case of fire, the company is going to pay you the amount. Okay, So how can you get the amount? Two conditions are there. You are able to get the amount on the maturity date of policy. Suppose the policy is for 5 years, or suppose the policy is for 20 years or 50 years, whatever years are there. After completion of that year, you are able to get the amount of policy. Or in case of death of a person, whichever is earlier. Suppose a person has taken a life insurance policy in the year of 2000 for 30 years, 30 years, and the person, due to the accident, the death occur of that person in the year of 2020 due to any reason. So in that case, the death is earlier compared to the maturity date. The family member of that person. Now focus here, this is all about life insurance. So in case of death, the family member of that person or the nominee of that person is going to get the amount. Okay? In the year of 2020, the family member of that person and the nominee of that person is going to get the amount. Okay, now the person, suppose the person is alive till the 2013 and the healthy one, and the maturity date is there, the time period of the policy is over, then the person is going to get the amount of the policy, not the nominee. The person who has taken the life insurance policy is entitled to get the amount. Am I clear? So, in what case you are going to get the amount in case of life insurance? The person is able to get the amount of the life insurance on the maturity date of the policy or death, whichever is earlier. Now let us discuss the essential features of life insurance, or you can say the characteristics of life insurance. Okay, start with the first characteristics. It says that life insurance is a contract. As we already discussed, all the insurance is a contract. So in features of the life insurance contract, you may find some of the features of the insurance which we discussed in the last lecture. Why? Because again the same and basic thing that life insurance is also insurance, and we discuss some of the features of insurance, general features of insurance which are applicable to all. Of course here some of the features of the general features of the insurance is going to be repeat. Okay, the first thing, life insurance is a contract between two parties. Clear? Which are they? They are the insurance company, assured and assurer. Assured means the customer who has taken the life insurance policy, and assurer means the insurance company who undertakes to indemnify the customer in case of loss. Or here loss is the death of a person or the maturity period. Okay. The second characteristic says that there should be minimum two parties. Okay, now this principle is again applicable to all the insurance. In all the insurance, the basic condition is that there should be minimum two parties. No insurance is possible in case of one party. If there are two parties or more than one party, then only the insurance is possible. Okay, so now in here you have to explain about these two parties. Which are they? So of course they are the customer and insurance company. The insurance company is ready to provide the compensation in case of loss, and in exchange of that the customer has to pay the compensation to the insurance company, or you can say the consideration should be paid to the insurance company. The next features of the life insurance is it is insurable interest. Just now we discussed about some of the principles of insurance. As I said, this is not the part of our syllabus, but this is important to understood because we are going to use that words in our topic. And here you can say the word insurable interest. The meaning is same. Here you have to explain about the insurable interest principle, what we discussed in the last just 5 to 10 minutes, but according to the life insurance. Clear? So the example should be related with the life insurance. Here you cannot give the example of fire insurance. So be very careful at the time of writing the example. Meaning should remain the same. Okay. Now here insurable interest means the principle says that you can take the insurance policy if you are having the interest in terms of money. So here we are talking about the life insurance. So the person is able to take the life insurance policy for himself or herself, or for the parents, or for the brother, sister, for the husband, for the wives. But the person is not having any authority, or the person is not able to take the life insurance for the friend. The person is not able to take the life insurance policy for the neighbor. Why? Because that interest is not in terms of money. That interest is not financially proven. If your loss is going, if on happening of certain events, you are going to face the loss in terms of money, though your interest is called the insurable interest, otherwise not. In case of death of a person who was your friend, in that case of course you are going to affect, but that affection, that loss is not in terms of money. Whenever your profit, your interest is in terms of money, then only you are able to take the life insurance policy. Suppose two partners are there of a business. So the first partner is able to take the life insurance policy of the second partner, or the second partner is able to take the life insurance policy for the first partner. Why? Because in case of death of any partner, the second partner is going to affect via mode of money. The business is going to affect. So at that time the life insurance is possible. The person can take the life insurance policy for the debtor, for the creditor, for the shareholders, or any stakeholder of the company. Why? Because in case of death of a debtor, the person is having the interest to recover the amount of loan given to them, or recover the dues. The person is going to affect financially. If the death of a creditor happens, then in that case there may be disturbance of the regularity of supply of raw material to your company, and your production process may stop, your reputation may spoil in the market, you are going to face a huge financial loss. In that case you are able to take the life insurance policy for your debtor, creditor, business partner, for your stakeholders. But you are not able to take the policy for those persons with whom your relationship is not in terms of money. Now the question arises, you may say ki how the relationship of with the family members are in terms of money. But of course they are the blood relationship, and the loss of any family member is directly or indirectly going to affect your family and you in terms of money. So you are able to take the policy to the blood relationship. Next is the utmost good faith. Okay, just we discussed before 10 minutes the principle of utmost good faith, the principle of it, but again the same rule applicable to this principle also. You have to explain this point according to the life insurance, not in general. Clear? Meaning should remain same. Here we have to discuss the meaning of utmost principle of utmost good faith only. But you have to explain this point in case of life insurance. Please don't give the example of any other insurance. Clear? Suppose your meaning is right, everything, every content is right, but in the last, suppose you have given the example of any other insurance, then everything will be wrong. Clear? So explain these points according to the life insurance. Now, the principle of utmost good faith says that both the parties, insurance company and customer, has to reveal all the information related to the policy to each other. Clear? If any information which may affect the contract of insurer will be hidden by any of the parties intentionally, so that will be breach of the principle of good faith. Clear? Very best example is about the life insurance is about the person is suffering from any disease. Like suppose the person is having the habit of tobacco. Clear? This tobacco habit is hidden by the person at the time of taking the policy. So this is the breach of principle of at most good faith. If any loss occur to the life of that person due to the habit of tobacco, so the insurance company will not give any compensation to the customer. Why? Because this habit was hidden by the customer at the time of taking the policy. Clear? Okay. Second example, suppose if any terms and condition which may affect the contract of policy or your policy is not written on the policy paper or not explained by the insurance company to you. So this is the clear breach of principle of at most good faith. It is the responsibility of the principal company also, insurance company also, that all the terms and condition which is applicable to your insurance must be written on your policy document. If any information is not written on your policy document, so this is the breach of principle of at most good faith. The next is all about the warranties. Okay, now यहाँ पे warranties means generally हम क्या सोचते हैं वो guarantee warranty वाली. Sometimes the question may ask for the 2 marks. What do you mean by warranty? तो बच्चे यही लिख के आते हैं वो guarantee warranty वाला. Warranty means some kind of period given for the exchange of product. No, यहाँ पे warranty means something else. So if the question asks in the 2 marks, so please don't write about the guarantee and warranty. Okay, now what do you mean by warranties? Warranties are an important feature of life insurance contract and are the basis of contract. In case of an untrue statement by the insured, whether it is regarding the material fact or figures, the life insurance contract shall become void, and the insurer will be entitled to forfeit the amount of premium which is paid by the customer to the insurance company. Okay, means this principle says, in the last we discussed the principle of utmost good faith that you have to reveal all the information to each other, otherwise company will not pay you the compensation. The warranty is something related to the principle. This warranty says that if any information hidden by the customer to the insurance company, so the insurance company is having the right to forfeit the amount of premium paid by the customer to insurance company. Insurance company will not give you, will not return you the amount of premium paid by you. Clear? Suppose the person is having the habit of tobacco, and this habit is hid by the person at the time of taking the policy. Now somehow the insurance company came to know about this habit, and the insurance company says that now there is no insurance, the insurance policy become void. Yeah, now there is no more existence of the insurance policy. So the customer cannot claim for the amount of premium paid by him till that period. The amount of premium will be forfeited by the company, will be not returned to the customer. Yeah? Okay. Next is about the premium. Of course, in any kind of insurance, in form of consideration, we have to pay the premium. But in case of insurance of life, generally the premium rate is calculated annually. For the different plan, the premium rate may be different. Clear? The premium rate may be depends upon your plan, which plan you are going to choose. It may be depends on your age. Clear? Suppose for the same plan, the premium rate for the person who is having the age of 20 years is different. For the person of 25 years is different. So it depends on your age also in life insurance policy. Okay. It also depends the time and the benefit of the policy which you are going to get after the maturity date. So many factors are going to affect your premium amount at the time of taking the policy in case of life insurance. Yeah? Generally, you may familiar about the age. The different age group person has to pay different premium for the same policy. This is not happen in some of the general insurance policy. Clear? Suppose a person is having the age of 30 years, and when the fire insurance policy for the go down, the premium remains the same. The age group of person, suppose the second person is having the age of 35 years, and there the person requires the same amount of policy, fire insurance policy for the go down, the amount of premium will be remain the same. Means in that general insurance, the aspect of age is, does not matter so much. But of course, in case of life insurance, some of these factors are very, very important and plays a very important role. Okay? Next is about the nomination and assignment. You may not familiar with the word assignment, but of course you have heard the word nomination, because you have to appoint the nominee. You have to write the name of the nominee at the time of taking the policy, at the time of opening the account, at the time of purchasing any property, at the time of preparing the will. So you are familiar with the word nomination, but you might not familiar with the word assignment. This is not the assignment which they give you for the writing. Okay, now what do you mean by nomination and assignment? So first of all, you are familiar with the word nomination, so let me discuss the nomination first. Okay, nomination means the second person will become the owner after you. Again, I am repeating, nomination is the process to appoint a person to become the owner after you. Clear? Till you are alive, you are the owner. Clear? After you, the next party will become the owner. Clear? But here, in case of assignment, assignment is the transferring of ownership right to the second party. As soon as you assign the property, you are not the owner or so long. The second party will become the owner. Yeah, suppose of course you all are having the account in the bank, saving account, in that you have written the clause of nomination, you appoint the nominee, but yes, you are not the owner of your saving account. Suppose you have deposited rupees 10 lakh rupees in your saving account. So on the 10 lakh rupees, you are having the ownership. You are just appoint a nominee, but owner is you. Clear? The second party is the owner after you. Till you are alive, you are the owner. But in case of assignment, if you assigned anything, if you assigned any property, so the next party will become the owner, you are not the owner. Yeah, if you assigned your saving account to your saving account, and the amount of your saving account will be transferred to someone else, and you are not having right to withdraw the accounts. Okay? We are going to discuss this point in detail later on. Just now make the meaning very clear, assignment and nomination. So, in case of life insurance policy, of course, you have to appoint a nominee, because in case of death of a person, the um, family member is going to get the amount, and who is going to get the amount you have to decide at the time of taking the policy. But if you assign your life insurance policy, so the policy right is transferred to the next party. Next, certainty of event. In case of general insurance, the example of fire insurance, the fire may burn in the godown or may not burn in the godown. But here, in case of life insurance, of course, whether you are going to die or the maturity period will be there. In दोनों में से कोई ना एक होने ही वाला है. Means 110% you are going to get your amount. Next is the term of the policy. Generally, life insurance, it is for a long-term contract, and general insurance, it is for a short-term contract. Existence of essential elements of contract. As we discussed earlier, insurance is a contract. So, some of the elements of the contract are applicable on insurance also. Then, of course, yes, the insurance is called the contract. Otherwise, not. Clear? So, I hope the features of the life insurance will be clear to you. The next topic we will discuss in next lecture, the advantages of life insurance. Till then, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.